Welcome. This is Stories from Los Angeles, hosted by Eric Ramos. Welcome back, everybody. It's Eric Ramos coming to you live from downtown Los Angeles, and today I have the pleasure of having Coye. Coye from Coye Curations. You can find him on Instagram. He is a photographer in fashion, culture, lifestyle. I had the pleasure of connecting with him, funny enough, through the internet on Bumble Business. That's where we connected, you and I. And it's funny because it's my first time actually going on Bumble Biz for using it for professional purposes. How's that been for you?
It's been really good. I have been able to network with a lot of makeup artists and other photographers as well too, and then also people who have consulting experience as well. Mm-hmm. So I like it, and then also as you. So I met some heavy hitters on there already. Very cool,
very cool. And I don't want to take the microphone away, but of course you're a photographer, right? Mm-hmm. Did I get everything right? That was the proper introduction for you?
Correct. Yeah.
Growing up, is that what you wanted to do as a kid? Or did you have
honestly,
previous professions?
Well, I feel like No, I wanted to always work with animals. One of my big things that I wanted to work at SeaWorld. Uh-huh. I guess it's kind of like the orcas there, and I just thought they were just very beautiful. So I wanted to kind of do something within the animal kingdom aspect of it.
Very cool. Did you go to school for that?
No.
Oh, okay.
So my educational background, I have a bachelor's degree in Indigenous American Indian Studies. Mm-hmm. I received it from this tribal college. It's called Haskell Indian Nations University.
Very cool.
So it's located in Lawrence, Kansas. And with tribal colleges, they're generally small. So the student body was only 1,000 people. But so with that, they're very limited on their programs they offer. So they only offered 4. They had elementary education, environmental science, business administration, and then Indigenous American Indian Studies.
Very cool.
So I took the II degree.
Very cool. Very cool. And so, when did you decide to be a photographer? Pick up your first camera? I want to know the origin story.
During undergraduate, so I used to write for the student newspaper organization. Uh-huh. It's called the Indian Leader. So it's the oldest Native American student newspaper established. So and they used to do print newspapers. So I thought it was so cool, and I used to design. And my instructor, Rhonda Lovato, she was very kind of nurturing, and then I just really got connected to her, and she used to do conferences at the Native American Journalists Association, and she had all these connections. And storytelling, I feel is a strong aspect of indigenous culture. So
yes. 100%.
Yeah, so I just kind of visually storytelling through my art and through my pictures. So I'm carrying on the tradition of storytelling my people.
Very cool, very cool. And so I think a lot of people should know that you recently moved to LA, right? Mm-hmm. Can you tell me originally where you're from?
Yes. So I'm born for the Diné people. Also in English terms, it's the Navajo people in Arizona. I was born in Tucson, Arizona, and then we had moved to our tribal lands when I was 2, and then I moved off my tribal lands when I was 7. And then I just kind of moved everywhere in the Midwest, from Nebraska to Kansas to Illinois, because my dad was a welder. So just within tribal jurisdictions, there's also a low source of occupations that you can get into. Uh-huh. So just for the opportunity to provide for his family, he took that.
Very cool. So you said he was a welder, and you never had interest in becoming a welder yourself? You said, no, that's not for me?
No, because I see when he used to come home, and just kind of how many hours that he put in, and just kind of how he talked about it. And I don't want to live my life like that. And
right.
a lot of my other family members, they work in the construction industry, and I don't know, I don't like to get dirty.
Same. Same. I'm not gonna even lie. That's it's funny because my dad also came. He has his own business as far as like cabinets, like custom cabinets, like kitchens. He's done a lot of like really nice homes, like custom cabinets. But and even though it's his business, he never really pressured me to like follow his footsteps. He was always like, whatever you do, just be kick ass, enjoy it. Did you ever get support in your as far as your career aspirations?
Did I ever get to what?
Like support from your family?
Oh, support? Yeah, my family support me. I feel like that's the only reason I'm even out here by myself. Because not only do I want to pursue a career, like that career opportunity will allow me to not only support myself, but then also support my family, and then will like support my community as well too.
Right.
So that's honestly my drive to even like pursue a career in fashion and just move out here to LA by myself and trying to work with like the upper echelon fashion community, because I know I can. I believe in myself, and I believe in my culture and my family, of my parents especially, of how they moved off like the reservation, and they never did that before. Right. They're like the first generation to do that, and taking that chance is a big risk. Like you don't know what's out there. Yeah. So, but then that love and support that they have for their family to do that, I honor and I respect that.
Absolutely. Do you still keep in touch with them? Like, do you like call family like every now and then? How often do you do it?
I was just talking to my mom this morning, and then my dad, I haven't talked to, I need to call him.
Yeah.
So, no, we're really close though.
It's funny because I text my mom more than I text my dad.
Yeah.
Like, as far as, but like we're still cool. Like there's no bad blood, but it's just the constant communication. I think it's between closer for my mom as well. So it's funny how you have that as well. Are there any fond memories from Tucson that you have growing up that inspired your work? Like,
honestly, I kind of just like popped out there. Like I just like got birthed, and then I don't have any like. I didn't grow up there, but then I have. Because, like, my memories, it just goes back to when I was living, like, my tribal homelands, when I was, like, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Okay.
But then, like, the 1, 2, and, like, the 3 is just, like, foggy.
Yeah. Anything below for me, too, was, like, I don't really remember, so I think it's probably a common occurrence with people. When it comes to, like, your transition from the Midwest to LA, what was that like for you? Like the first, because you said that you told me off camera that you had lived here before, but then you moved back again. So what was your first time like moving into LA like?
So I always wanted to move here to LA. After I graduated with my bachelor's in 2019, I had moved to Phoenix. So I wanted to kind of like integrate myself within a bigger city structure. So like when I eventually like make that move to LA, I wouldn't be like so overwhelmed. And then also during my undergraduate years, I had like an internship in New York City. So I don't know, I just traveled to like many different places as well too. So making that adjustment wasn't as like hard for me, but then I know I needed to just kind of discipline myself in regards of assessing like my nervous system and when it's overwhelmed at times, and like learn to like step back and like take a break, as opposed to just like, oh, like it's fine, like keep going, like just work. Like I don't want to get burned out, because yes, I did come here for a career, but then I came out here to enjoy my life.
Yeah, more than anything. And it's funny because you mentioned sometimes I get overstimulated living here in LA. I've been born and raised here, and it's one of those things that sometimes I like a lot of the chaos, a lot of the noise outside. Sometimes I like just hanging out in a very serene place. The way I kind of did my decor interior design in here that I put together. But no, yeah, I'm glad. So you went to Phoenix, I guess. You said you had some internships in New York. What was that like?
It was very beautiful. So I had, it's now called like the Newmark journalism. Well, Newmark School of Journalism, but then when I went there, it was like the City University of New York, the Graduate School of Journalism. It was a journalism internship. It was like a diversity initiative that they did. It was like their last time doing it as well too. So it was me and 15 other journalists from around the country, and I was the only native in the journalism internship, and I loved it so much. And because I had visited New York on my 21st birthday to attend this festival called Panorama just to see Frank Ocean. And
Nice.
then me and my friend went, and I just love New York City. I was like, I need to go back. I want to go back. And I found a way to go back.
Very cool. I've never been to New York. My sister does have a boyfriend out there. Maybe that's TMI. I don't know if she wants me to share her info, but yeah, she has a boyfriend out there, and she makes it work from LA to New York, which is crazy.
Really?
Like in a relationship, I've been like together for like 2 years. I can never do that myself. But back to you. What was the first camera that you like started working with?
A Canon.
A Canon. Do you remember like the brand, like the model?
It was like a T6i.
T6i. That's
Yeah.
a pretty good camera to start with. Yeah. And was it like, because those cameras are pretty expensive. So how much did you like? Did you have? Was it something that you already had saved up and you just buy it? Because like
So I used to participate in like the journalism organization at my school, so it was just kind of like part of like the organization. And when I used to go write stories and take pictures for events, and they let me borrow it.
Very cool. So that was the first camera that you started working with and genuinely started getting correct. Did you take any courses for photography, or was that something that you kind of went to school or picked up, or somebody mentored you?
I did take like just a semester course, but oh my god, this is bad, but I kind of forgot everything like within it.
Yeah.
I really didn't pay much attention, honestly. I kind of just did it for the credit.
Because I looked at your photos and I'm like, your photos are really good. Your photos are really good. And I was like, wow, this is like, I like your work. I'm actually like, I was like going through it and I was like, I like this. I like what I'm seeing. So I was just I was just like, okay, cool. Did you pick that up? So you naturally kind of picked that up yourself. It wasn't something that like someone taught you, or like, did you see online just a little bit of tutorials, videos, anything like that?
Honestly, like I never even watched any tutorials or videos. I kind of just like, maybe I should, but I kind of did it my own way.
I think it's the fact that you actually started doing it is what holds back a lot of people.
Yeah.
Sometimes people think too much about the details. Am I doing it right? Rather than just actually doing it.
Yeah.
And so I think the fact that you just started by going repetition, probably like seeing like you're like critiquing your own work, right? As a photographer, do you critique your own work when you take photos?
Yes, of course. So within photography, like when we're working with a model, you have like hundreds of photos you have to go through after like during like post-production. And then I'm so like meticulous. I look at everything, and I pick like my top 10 out of it, and I narrow it down to like my 2 favorites. So it's just going through the whole process, and it takes me like almost an hour to edit like one picture. But that's just to edit, but not go right through the whole thing. So it takes me like a couple hours to just do one picture.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize the process of photography. Sometimes it's very meticulous. You have to like, and I'm assuming you direct people on like, hey, turn your head this way. Like, did you? How was it like working with your first model, like ever?
My first model was in Kansas. We did it at the sunflower field, and honestly, I didn't even know how to direct. I was just, cause honestly, like still right now, I don't like directing. I like working with people who already know they're like how to pose and all that. Cause I don't know, if you want to get in the model industry, like you should practice already. I don't know. I know how to get the angles essentially.
Right.
So I just captured the angles. It was really nice. But I told her to just like, I directed her in a little bit of way, but I didn't have any like, at the beginning I didn't have any like poses, or like I said, I didn't do any research about it. I was like,
it takes 2 to tango, and essentially that's kind of, you're able to follow someone's lead to kind of like, okay, cool, your work, you kind of start seeing someone like work their angles, and that's when you start like really start like, okay, here we go, right? You're like in a rhythm with your photographer. And so you said this was outside. Did you use any like lights?
No, at the time, no.
No, did you use a flash?
No, it was like during sunset. So I feel like I just wanted that natural lighting. All of my pictures that I take is, right now I like use flash and lights, but then at the beginning I just use like natural lighting and just wanted to like study the effects of like the shade and like just wanted to like do my own little research upon like
Very
how light produces different images.
Very cool. And after that, you're that. So was that your first photography? Well, you said you used to work events as well. So did you start initially with events 1st and then you
Yeah.
started to like models, student models? Cool.
Yeah, during the newspaper I used to do like basketball events and then just like go to like student senate meetings and like take pictures of them and yeah.
Nice. And so you didn't want to continue with like models, I mean events, like let's just say like outside after you were just like no.
Yeah, I mean like it's cool, like events are cool, but it's just not something that I'm really like interested in. I like kind of, cause like how I see photography is it bridges the connection to me and another human being. Like I'm allowed to kind of like know their story and like when I figure out like what type of person they are and like what they want to create together, that's how I kind of like do my images. And I feel like my images, like the themes of it, or like who I want to represent through my art is like elegant, like eccentric, and just very like captivating.
Yeah.
And like angelic in a way.
Yeah, I do see that in your portraits. Has there been any very difficult like times that you've like where you're like, oh my god, like I'm gonna rip out my hair, like as far as like work or shoots that like really tested your patience?
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like, well, not every shoot is like that, but then I'm just very like, oh, like I hope like we get to like get something like beautiful out of this, and there's nothing like where I was just like, oh my god, like I'm so stressed, nothing like that.
No, nothing. So you've never had like a little difficulties as far as like working with models or?
No, not with models, but then like sometimes I would like come like unprepared and like next thing you know, like my SD card is full, and here I am like deleting pictures,
Oh.
or like my battery dies, and like, but then I always like I have like a second battery too, so it's just stuff like that, like just mechanical things on my part. Nothing with the models though.
Right. And sometimes I think a lot of people like you have to take that extra time even before sometimes to have everything prepared and ready. When you deleted those photos on your memory card, did you like freak out or did you already have those backed up elsewhere?
Yeah, I had it backed up, and I was like, okay, like I already went through these, and yeah, it's just like I don't know. I'll be doing it during the shoot as well too. Like when I was like SD card's full, and then I don't tell them because that's embarrassing.
Right.
So we just walk to like the whole like next location, and then like when we're walking there, I just like delete them.
You're like, don't look over here.
Yeah, they're like, how do they look? I was like, stunning. Like this is amazing. Let's go over here and let's try this.
Very cool.
So,
you said you also like, well, when it comes to like what are some of the most memorable projects then that you've ever worked on? Like your top project that you.
Yes, there's been a couple. I really like the ones that I do with like culture, especially this one shoot that I did in Phoenix. She's also my tribe, Dene, and within our tribe we have these traditional rug dresses, and she had her rug dress and her moccasins on, and then we were just like downtown Scottsdale, like just shooting, and like the history of like not the history of Scottsdale, but then also it's very like Western in a way.
Was it outside with like?
Yeah, I was like in this plaza at night, because typically like that was my first like night shoot as well too, because I don't like I said, like I work with like natural light a lot.
Yeah. So
working with like my flash at night was just something that I wanted to try, and the images came out very beautiful.
Very cool. I wanted to review some of your photos because I think was that mentioned in your Instagram on that you mentioned right now, because we'll pull it up obviously.
Yes.
When we have it up there on the camera, but was that any of these that are on your profile?
This one.
Nice. And so did they have already that? You said that they like were you called up upon for your photography, or was this like something like, hey, um, like how did this event happen for you?
I think I met her at a fashion audition, and we just kind of like networked, and she wanted to get into modeling, so I was like, let's do a photo shoot. So
Very cool, very cool. And as far as like, do you just do photography, no video?
I do, yeah, mainly photography. I mean, I could do like video. Well, let me not lie. I can do like reels.
Reels? Yeah. No, absolutely.
That's all. I'm really not like. I know I can get the angles and everything, but then just like the whole like post production aspect, it just confuses me.
Your bread and butter is definitely photography. Yeah, exactly. And to me, like seeing your photography, like was like events and like this, what the cultural side of photography. Is that something that you like to focus on, or is like, or do you like kind of blend in, or is like whatever opportunities there are as far as like that happen throughout like your sphere of influence? Do you actually like, do you proactively go out and try to like shoot like these kind of cultural events?
Not well. I feel like I don't necessarily like look for it. It just like comes to me, and then if I have this feeling within me, like, oh, like I want to shoot that. Like I'll go up to the person and be like, hey, like I introduce myself and be like, let's do a photo shoot. So that's what I did with him, because I met him at a fashion show, and he does hoop dance. His name is George Gonzalez, and I met him almost like 4 years ago, and we still talk to this day. So
and yeah, I'll have everybody see this photo on
that one. That was
video.
really good. We went to, that was also in Phoenix. We went to, it's called Papago Park, and then there was like this little tunnel thing, and I was like, here, go in here, and the image came out really good.
How did you get the nice like silhouette on the floor on the camera? Did you
wait? Let me see. Oh, it was just because the tunnel was kind of like dark, and then I told him like to scoot back, and that's how far like the natural light like went in.
Oh wow, that natural light looks so good. It almost looks like a artificial spotlight that like a camera, like a light right above his head.
Yeah,
that looks really good.
So I guess like within my pictures as well too, the only reason why I don't use like any artificial light is because like nature's very beautiful as well too. Nature's very powerful, and like coming from like a whole spiritual, coming from culture. And in my ceremonies, we pray to the water, we pray to the fire, we pray to the sky, everything. So I want to like integrate that within my stories as well too. Yeah. So without any of those aspects, like I wouldn't be like who I am, and I wouldn't be able to take these images.
You said this is called hula dance?
Hoop dance.
A hoop dance. My mistake. What is the hoops made out of?
So I think he uses honestly, I don't even know.
No.
I don't know.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Because I mean, those are details. Obviously, he's the dancer. He probably knows a lot more of what he's actually like kind of wearing and all the details. Do you know what the dance represents? Like,
so it represents just kind of like the world in a sense, because that one I think is called like the butterfly, and it just kind of like represents like the natural aspect of the world. Yeah.
Was he like moving around, or was he holding still, like when he's like, hey, let me catch this, or was he like
that one he was holding still, but then we took like other shots, he was moving around.
Very cool. And is there any more photos that you want to photos that you want to talk more about?
Yeah, that I like is this one as well too.
Awesome.
That one is very
What's going on here?
I like that. So I used to do work in Scottsdale at the Fashion Square Mall. I was assistant manager for this apparel store called All Star Sports, and that was just a customer who had came in because it was a good way for me to network, and I met like a lot of different like professional athletes came in and like celebrities. but I just kind of like outsource, like, oh, like let me go talk to this person and try to sell them a jersey, and then also kind of like integrate like my photography into it. So I had asked them if he wanted to do a photo shoot, and then
Right then and there in the store.
well, that was not in the store.
Oh, it wasn't.
Like I talked to him, and then we planned it, and he had came back, and then I had like some jerseys of our new product.
Yeah.
That he could choose from, and then he brought his son as well too. So that one we had walked to Dick's. Like we just went down the escalator and went to Dick's Sporting Goods, because I was like, I want to like have like a whole like basket. So that was taken to Dick's.
Oh, nice.
And actually, that was actually like his idea to like do it by like the basketball.
This literally looks like a set. Like
Mm-hmm.
the fact that you just walked into a Dick's Sporting Good
Yeah.
and took that photo, I would have never guessed in a million years.
Yeah.
And I think that's something beautiful about photography, that you're able to capture a moment, and there's this like mystery behind it. Like I would have never known this unless you yourself would have told me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then also just kind of like the history of like basketball and how it kind of brings together in community, and like the whole partnership between a father and a son.
Yeah.
That.
Would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I feel like I'm in the middle, honestly. More, it depends on how I feel too, because I guess in a way, like I see myself as like a research project. That may sound weird, but I like to do like studies on myself. I really like to study like my mind, and also like my body and how I feel, and things that bring me pleasure, and then also allows me to like have like comfort in this whole like chaotic world, because that's very like important, especially like if you're in the fashion industry. You have to be very like mentally strong, because they'll rip you apart, like
Yeah.
literally. So you have to have that mental toughness, and like that emotional strength as well too. So I like to just do things that make me like calm. I don't like to like force myself to like do things. I feel that's like an extrovert, but like if I'm calm, like I'll be like very like extrovert. But then like if I'm kind of like observing the area, I'll be observative.
Yeah.
So, like an introvert.
Yeah. Because I think me outside, I don't know why I'm personally like this, but in public I'm more quiet, and then it's not till I'm like comfortable in my own space one-on-one that's where I open up for some reason. I don't know why I'm like that, or unless we're like in a public setting where we're sitting down, then I open up. But until I am navigating the like going to a restaurant, standing in line, talking to people, I'm more kind of calm and reserved.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm like that.
No, that's me too. And like that's why I like working, because like I said, like working with models, it has that connection. Like when you work one-on-one with someone, you actually like you get to know who they are.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like more, I guess, intimate as far as conversations and getting to know. There's as far as like your other photos, is there anything else that you want to talk about, any of your projects?
Yes. So this one. So I had attended school at the first ever tribally established college on my it's on my homelands in Navajo Nation. It's called Diné College. I've attended only one semester because, like I said in the beginning, I didn't grow up on the reservation, so that disconnect between like my community and like the language and the land was it's still there, but then I know like where I come from, and so I just wanted to like reconnect in a way. And they offer cultural classes like language, Navajo language course, silversmithing, rug weaving, and yeah, so I went there for that. I didn't take those classes because they're all full, so I think that's why I only stayed there one semester. And it was like living on the reservation. It's so beautiful there. Like it's located in Saley, Arizona. It's so beautiful. Like that's where I want to live. There's like a lake right there, and it's like little mountains too. And Arizona's very diverse. It's very beautiful. I really like it a lot. Cause like northern Arizona, where all my family lives, is kind of like sand, and then like hills, but they're all like, yeah. But then you drive like an hour to this place and you see pine trees and like lakes and yeah.
I've been to Sedona, and I kind of see that
Oh my god, Stone's pretty.
how the terrain changes. It's insane how you drive from California to the northern part of Arizona, and kind of like you said, this starts like pines, and then like you go through Flagstaff on top, and it's like all these trees. I went to even like a tunnel, like a lava tunnel down there that was like
Oh,
a
yeah.
2 miles.
I would do that
3 miles.
too.
Yeah, exactly. So it really is diverse. I really love Arizona for those. I think those mountains. The fact lucky that we get to see some mountains here right now is covered in snow.
Yeah,
We don't
it's
usually
so
get that much
beautiful.
snow here.
Really?
But Arizona, obviously, like they get a lot of snow.
A lot of snow.
Yeah, and it's really lovely out there. And so, so you're saying this event happened around that area?
Yes. So I actually produced the first ever. That's my first fashion show I ever produced, and that's like the first fashion show ever like that went on there, at the first ever tribal college, on my traditional homelands.
Very cool.
It was in the Ned Hatatli Museum, and it's so beautiful in there. It was so nice, and I organized the whole thing. I got the designers, I got the models, which they were students, and put on the whole production, had a whole DJ, and I loved it very much. And that was one of the garments that was showcased in there, and I think it's just very beautiful as well too.
Was the garment created by a student?
No, just a designer from the Navajo Nation as well too, and that's the installation behind her was part of the museum, and I think I like that picture so much because like the vibrancy of her, but then also like the art as well too, because like I said, my people, they do like silversmithing, so like turquoise and all of that. So how I see that image is that woman behind her represents like our ancestors, or like a grandmother, and like always like looking after you in a way, like kind of like they want you to shine, and they have this whole protective aspect about them that they kind of endured in their prayers of you wanting to succeed in this world and experience life, and also ground yourself in your cultures, like how I see that picture.
Yeah, it's funny enough because I really like the Navajo culture myself. I've been to, what is it, the Antelope Valley, those canyons, and right then and there, I think a lot of like Navajo people were the ones working in the tourist area, and I was like, oh, this is very cool, and like the fact that they were being very respectful and very cautious of like, here, this is what this means. This is exactly like where you want to go through, and like they were very hospitable. And to me, it's one of those things that I think culturally, I think we're very hospitable people. Like, and I say we because to me, there's a part of me that kind of I explained to you, like there's a part of me that kind of feels a little disconnected from the way I'm supposed to be as a Mexican, because I don't partake in many of their activities. And I'm not trying to make myself like sound like I'm disassociated, but it is one of those things where I've always kind of enjoyed hiking, and that's where I really find call it my soul.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like I come back like recharged and able to get back to work. You know, and to me, it's lovely that you have all this cultural history that you're very well aware of. Where I feel like sometimes I have like facial features that like when I look at photos of like the Southwest, like I'm like, why does my nose look similar to theirs, right?
Yeah.
Like, why do I have these features that kind of look along the lines? And like I realized like, okay, and that's when I myself started researching a little bit more of kind of like natives throughout the indigenous people in Mexico as well, because I feel like in Mexico, the indigenous people got it really bad compared to the U.S. Obviously, the U.S. obviously it was really bad when we look at our history. There was a lot of like mistreatment, a lot of like um, things that happened. But at the same time, like the way you are able to like even speak up right now and then like talk about your culture and like there's all these centers. I
Yeah.
went to there's this place called Guadalupe del Valle or Valle de Guadalupe where there's like this wineries, right? And like I wanted to go check out this cultural center there that the local like natives were. They had a little museum of like of like not only like they have artifacts but a whole walkthrough like
Yeah.
plants and like building structures that you can like experience. And when I was talking with them, they're like, "Well," he goes, "our tribe was separated by the border." He goes, "Our borders like we have our tribe was like one of those tribes that just got cut in half. Like, okay, now you can no longer come this way, and you can no longer come down, and you can no longer go up, or at least they were able to come down, but you guys can't go up." Which like there
Really?
was like yeah, and they were like they were telling me that it sucks. They were telling me it sucks because like the government here doesn't really look out for us, like like the opportunities that they gave all these like tourism for like the wineries, like they didn't help us at all. Like we're like kind of self-funding ourselves to create this like business, and I'll put more links to it on my on the video. But I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, like I think I think a lot of the natives, as far as in Mexico, were mostly wiped out, and even then, they have this very like term that's very negative, where they I feel like sometimes Mexicans feel a little more superior to natives. They call them indios, like very Indio, like, but they say it in a way that's like demeaning, like you're
Yeah.
uncultured, you know. So that happens even within like call it the brown culture, and to me that's something that I was like when I started realizing, like, I'm like, wow, why is there this big indifference as far as like Mexicans and like native Mexicans, right? Native Americans. Like to me, it's like, it made me kind of question even myself. Like, I'm not like what's really cool, like the banda. Like, I don't know why I'm not really attracted to that. And it's not even like, I hope anybody who hears this doesn't feel like I'm against them. I'm not.
Yeah.
But it is something that I kind of realized like like some of the fondest memories of mine of my mom is her by a river. Like my mom can just go sit by a river all day and just be happy. And I think that's where I kind of learned at least a little bit more of my spirituality, because I was like, I don't go to church as often as I grew. Like I was raised in a very Catholic home, right? But like now I'm like looking at the history too. Like you look at what the Catholic Church really did, and you're like, damn, like they were treating like people like me with my features. Like they were just like holding you on a chokehold and saying you are now this, you know. And so to me, it's like, why does my mom, or why do I feel very happy, like very spiritually recharged in the outdoors, whereas sometimes at church I felt very like, you know, like you are not this, you're going to hell, going like very aggressive, if that makes any sense. Have you ever felt that yourself?
Yes. So I completely agree with you in regards of like just within communities, because within like native communities, there's like, oh, like you're not traditional, or oh, like you don't know your language. So it's
Oh,
that like there's that whole thing, and I don't
like,
know.
or
It's
you're not native enough.
yeah, or like there's some like light skin like white complexion natives, and then there's like African American like complexion natives as well too, and like people who look like me get categorized as native, like as opposed to them, like even though they could like speak their language like more fluently than me. Like your culture, it depends on your mindset as well too. Like knowing that you're native, it doesn't, because at the end of the day, like everyone came from a tribe.
Yeah.
Everyone had their own ceremonies. Everyone had their own language. But I feel like within religion, I feel like became like really successful because they found a way to kind of like integrate their ceremonies within a building, so they could just move it anywhere around the world, and they had this building that they could like pray into. But within like Native American societies, we have like the connection to our land. Like we have within my culture, we have like the 4 mountains that we like belong to, and we pray to those, and there's like specific spots within our geographical locations that we have like cultural ties to.
Yeah.
So we can't like transition that into like a whole building in a sense. So I feel like that's why like the whole religion aspect became very successful, because they came overseas and dominated everyone. In a sense, they took control and they converted everyone to.
And I think the concept that sometimes I feel like people of color, sometimes we were very happy like worshiping the sun, even like the Aztecs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the rain, there's a god for rain, plenty of deities. And so I think it's we kind of were just dropped this new like culture shock of like now there's money involved, and so now money really changed a lot of things. We were very happy with our like natural way of life, living off the earth, kind of really protecting the earth. Mm-hmm. Whereas the settlers came and then they just started saying, these are our resources now. We're gonna sell this this fur. Yeah. And we're gonna make some money off this. Yeah. And like there was a complete like call it detachment as far as like ways of life that just clashed in like how 1700s, right? Like where America, we were a very young country, right? And so your people were here millennials before, but yet do you feel like the opportunities that you've been provided like reflect like your skills? Like do you feel like you have to fight 10 times harder just to make it out, or just to have like the opportunities like provided to other, let's just say, people who have been in industries of like passed down?
Honestly, like I don't feel like I have to fight 10 times harder. I feel like what's mine is for me. Yeah. I don't feel like I always, because like when I got here, I could have just went like full force and like in the whole like fashion industry and everything, and like got back into like photography. But I haven't did a lot of shoots since I've been here. I've been to like maybe like 4 events and did like 4 shoots just within like the 6 months I've been here. Mm-hmm. And that's barely anything, because I know like my goal and I know what I'm after, and how I explained my growing up, I was able to be exposed to a lot of different communities. Mm-hmm. Not only like the Native community, but then like because I went to school in like a whole like predominantly white town. Mm-hmm. So it was just me and my brother, like the only Native, and then a couple friends are the only like colored people, and then the rest is like white. Yeah. So I just growing up, I learned to like integrate myself within other communities, and I know how to basically get along with them in a sense. So I guess like within people who grew up like on the reservation and they just seem like all natives all the time, when they leave the reservation, they don't know how to kind of have that integration. So I guess I grew up within it already, so I know how to maneuver myself into ways, and I know how to avoid certain things. And like I said, like I see myself as a research project. So when I see that, I see other people as like research projects too. So I really got very interested in like human behavior. Like you can tell a lot, and you can just feel like your intuition. Like you just need to pay attention to like certain behaviors and how it makes you feel and all of that. So you make sure like you're going in like the right direction as well too. So you don't have to waste your time. Mm-hmm. Because right now I feel like in this life, because like each year I do a theme for myself. Because like last year 2023 was like rejection, like accepting the rejection and learn like rejecting people, and then also like getting rejected. and it was very uncomfortable. I didn't like it. But then my theme this year is validation, like just completely like validate myself and just know like who I am, and I validate myself, and no one can ever take that away from me. And
Yeah.
my art is validated, like all of that. Like I know how talented I am. Like I know what I bring to the table. So it's like I don't have to compete with anyone because there's no one like me or like doing like what I'm doing or like speaking how I speak or like dressing how I dress. So I'm very like a rarity. So I don't like to kind of be, because what I noticed too, like especially within the fashion industry, like a lot of people just like they look the same, they be dressing the same, and that's not me. Like I don't look like any of y'all, and I don't want to.
Right. Very cool. Yeah, because I think a lot of people, especially here in LA, sometimes can be very cutthroat. Like as far as like because I worked in fashion as well for a little while. I was like the art director there for like 2 3 years, and honestly, like the CEO there was very very difficult to work with. I mean, he kind of liked me, but sometimes I felt like people were kind of calling me names like the favorite one, like the favorite child, and I was like, I didn't even realize I was doing like I was hurting you guys by
Yeah,
me working, like,
yeah,
you know, and it's funny because they weren't even like white people, they were people of color that were like really coming after me, and I
yeah,
felt like attacked. I'm like, I don't even. I was like, I'm just here to work. I'm not. I'm
yeah,
not never here to like suck up to the boss. Like
yeah,
I focus on the craft, and ultimately, I think the craft. I think like the fact that you said that your art is like the validation that you feel within your own craft. I think that's really brings success in the creative field, because I think sometimes people start like looking at other artists' works and like, wait, I should be doing that, or I should be doing this. But then like next thing you know, they're deluded in like, what have I worked on myself? Like my portfolio, what have I haven't fostered my own skills enough or polished them to like for people to come attract,
yeah.
essentially, right? And that's kind of like what I see with you. Like you're very comfortable in your own skin. You're very comfortable in your own fashion, and I think that's something that a lot of people sometimes should probably learn. You know, were you always like this, or was this like a process that you kind of learned to be?
It's a whole process. Like
Tell
I
me
said,
about it.
like
Yeah.
it's still an ongoing process and everything too. Because like growing up, like I said, I was the only native. Well, me and my siblings. So that kind of like connection with other people, and I used to move around like every 2 years, like because my dad, he just like get another job and then we moved to a different state. So not having like those establishing like close connections with, not having like friends in a way. I mean, establishing friends, but then you never see them again, and like making new friends. So it's always like constantly like moving and like having to get to know people, and you just leave. So it's like that. So I never was really very like confident in myself at times. It's just something that I had to learn, because at the end of the day, like everything that we see has been an idea of someone, and it's just like I have my own ideas. Like, why do I have to like integrate myself to something that's been created before by a human being? Like I have that same power and I have that same potential
To create.
yeah.
Right.
So it's like I don't, if I, because honestly, like I don't want to work for no one. I do not want to work for no one. Like, yes, I'm inspired by someone and I would want to work alongside of people, but that at the end of the day, like I don't care to work for anyone at all, because I have my own dreams and I have my own like ideas that I want to do, and I'm very confident that I'll be successful. I don't want to be working for someone else's dream. Like, let me establish my own. Like, let me see what I can create within my lifetime.
Yeah.
So this world is only like temporary. So it's just like, let me explore the world and let me just, like I said, like see what I can create.
Yeah. Yeah, and that speaks volumes, because I think a lot of people sometimes don't focus on what they love. I think especially here in LA, given the fact that there's so much flash, there's so much like, like it people that, sometimes people try to follow. I love LA. Like, as much as people sometimes,
No, I love LA too.
like, so a lot of people bash on this city, especially lately, even like, how I hear that people are like, yeah, people are leaving because this place is a dump, and like I see it on TV, like on social media, like I'm like, all these things going wrong with Los Angeles. I'm like, I mean, it's not that bad, like, right? Like,
it's beautiful out here. I feel like I'm just like, I don't know, just so many creators out here, and just so many people like doing their own thing, and I like it. Like, it's just very inspiring, and it makes me feel comfortable here. But I honestly would dress like this in Kansas, and people would just be wearing like just regular clothes, like little like, it's Kansas, so they be wearing like farm outfits and all of that, and I'd be coming in
all fabulous.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And like, I always dress like that, just no matter like where I am, like I'm always like the one standing out, and I just have to like come accept it. Like, I like dressing like this, and I like expressing myself through fashion.
Have people ever received like terrible comments or bad, like people like just throwing shade at you for the way you dress, the way you look?
Yeah.
Did you?
All the time. I feel like I still get that, and obviously it's, every human wants connection. They want to establish that community. So when I receive those comments, it makes me feel like insecure. But then at the same time, like, I don't care. Like, I like myself.
Yeah.
And if I feel insecure, I assess that emotion, and I realize that I give people, well, in that time, I give people like so much power to make me feel that. I'm not trying to give no one power over me or my feelings. And
do you feel like your culture is like very okay with like kind of the way you dress, the way you look, or even are they used to a specific lifestyle? And obviously I don't want to speak for everybody, but in your personal experience, have you felt like a little bit of backlash from like the people that you grew up with?
What the people I grew up with was like non-natives. I guess my whole fashion sense can tie into like my sexuality as well too, and like my gender. So I used to kind of like be like very scared to express like my sexuality like growing up, but then when I like came to accept it, and it's just something that I kind of like configured within my life. But when I went back to school at the net college and being around like all my tribal members and wearing like all pink and this whole blazer with like fur on it at school, people were looking at me. But then professors, they would be like, oh, like, it's so like rejuvenating, like refreshing your style. And also like, I don't know, like I'm a good person, like the people be liking me. But then also there's some weird energy where it's just like not jealousy, but then they get like intimidated by me. And it's like, I don't know why, like at all. Like I'm literally such the sweetest person, but obviously when you have like two sides of you. So
you have to be defensive at certain points, and some people catch the defensive side of us, and some people catch the sweetness of us. But either or is like, I think both sides are very justifiable in for whatever it is that's happening around us. Because to me, I'm not very non-combative. Where to me is like, if I see people, even guys, just trying to be like too macho, I'm just like, bro, whatever. Like, I just walk away. Like, dude, I don't need to prove myself to you. Like I'm not gonna get in a fight with you just to show you that I'm more of a man than you.
Literally. In addition, I want to add on, I feel very comfortable into like who I am right now, because within my tribal society we have 4 genders. So it's like a man, so like a masculine man, and then like a man, like woman, and then a woman man, and then like a woman. So like,
oh, I didn't know that. Oh, cool.
So I guess I wouldn't say not the gays, but like we have this term in English. It's called it translates to two-spirit in English. And so you embody like the masculine and the feminine energy, and you have that balance. And they had high positions within the society, so they were with like the medicine, like they're medicine people essentially, like the healers. So they were in the council with like the chiefs and like the women and all of that, like people who kind of delegated the communities, and they just worked together. So that made me very comfortable, like knowing that, and
that's existed throughout the years. And
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
see, I'm learning that right now. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess how I would identify myself, my gender, I'm a male, I'm a boy. A lot of people would mistake that. They'd be like, oh, like, you're a woman. And although I dress feminine, I have that balance within me, because I understand the responsibilities and the responsibilities of roles that each gender play within communities.
Yeah.
And I could never fulfill like the woman role, nor did I want to. Like, women have a different essence and a spiritual aspect about them that I could never provide, and that's not my part to play. So I respectfully don't identify as a woman, but I wear like women's clothes. I'm pretty sure there's like a woman's pants, and yeah, and I got whole makeup on, and yeah. So I'm yeah.
No, that's very well spoken. And honestly, like, to me, I don't know. I feel like sometimes people think the world's so black and white when it's not. Like, there's so many shades in between that to get to a certain color, right? Like, and it's just the creative side of me just talking right now. Like,
yeah,
there's, for a color to convert to another color, there's so many like hues and changes and like a little bit of aspects that need to blend in together.
Yeah.
And so, no, I'm glad that you, like, I'm learning more about this, because like, to me, I've always kind of felt part of the system, air quotes. I think to me, it's one of the things. I was luckily one of those kids that kind of was just graphic design, art is what you're. I didn't know any better. It was a teacher who genuinely like looked out for me, and she was like a very like, sweet white lady that just was like, you should pursue art. And mainly because there was, like, again, a lot of kids playing around me, and I was like the only one kind of focused on trying to get my work done. And that's when she was like, I was like, okay. So
yeah,
it was a natural progression. And like, to me, I just genuinely, I was so hyper focused on the art, creating that art piece that you saw on my entrance. I created that.
Really?
Yeah, I painted that. Painted that. And I got inspired during COVID, because I guess I was just like, with everything that going on, I felt a little overstimulated even with work, that I just wanted to come home and paint. And honestly, to me, I love animals as well. Like, to me, it's like just seeing, when you look at animals and the way they kind of live their life, to me, it was very inspiring, because you start seeing that they have a way of life. The courage that it takes for them, the kind of how they see the world and how they start witting, like, they have very like patterns, and that's kind of what I realized, like, what kind of animal am I? Like, to me, I felt that I was like understanding myself, like, just from observing. I started observing like myself, and I was like, oh, this is hurting me. I can't be this way, even if other people, like, it upsets other people. I just can't subscribe to that kind of way of thinking. Or like, even like tribalism, where, I want them dead, or because they hurt me, now I have to go and like hurt them and their kids, and they're like, to me, that kind of violence I felt like it has to end with me. Like, to me, it's like, it kind of realizing that the times that I have received, like, even just as a regular guy, there's like, I've kind of don't even look for things, but sometimes they come at me, and I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like,
same as yeah.
I don't want to fight, dude.
Literally.
Can we talk about art? Can we talk about photography? Can we talk about like the possibility, like possible, like interactions of projects that we could work on together?
Yeah.
And and that's what I love about this moment right now, that you as a creative, me as a creative, came from different walks of life and just started talking about our passions. To me, obviously, that's what matters to me a lot. Like seeing that, yes, there's project, but then there's more depth to the artist behind, and that I hopefully like I made you like, you know, painted a good picture of yourself. Is there anything else that you feel like that the world should know about you?
Yes. So, yeah, I completely agree. Because I feel like what inspires me is just nature, like everything, like flowers, and like you have a whole like buffalo head on your wall. So I feel like nature is very like inspirational in regards to like art. You can, especially like the fashion designers that I follow, like they're inspired by like the sea, like the animals in the sea, and they integrate that within their designs. So like nature is at the end of the day, like it's the ruler of all things. And I guess what I want to include for my final last aspect is, like I said, like I don't want to work for like under anybody. The only people that I would be honored to work for would be Nicki Minaj, Paris Hilton, Pharrell Williams, and Terrence Howard. And then also Lauren London and then Janae Aiko. But those are like the 6 people that I would honestly wouldn't have no problem to work for.
Why? What makes them like turn your, like, you know, like I'll work for these guys? Why? Well, what is it about them?
Nicki Minaj, her music is just so beautiful. I love her as an artist, and then also just the story like that she has behind her own, behind her music. She's just telling her point of view like through her lens, and just her fashion sense as well too, and then also her charisma that she has established for herself, and how she came to like the U.S. from Trinidad and established herself to be a mogul, like
that's
an
right.
icon.
I totally forgot she was from Trinidad.
Yeah, and she came here and she's like signed with like Republic Records, and now she owns a whole house in Malibu. Like that's inspiring. And then Paris Hilton, I got into her when I had watched her documentary, and then also her show, her cooking show on Netflix, and then her show on Peacock. And just kind of like figure out like the connection like that I have to her story, and then how she's currently like creating bills within like the legislation, oh my god, I just butchered that word, aspects, because like
legislation,
aspect, because how she like in her documentary, how she told she went to this whole like boarding school camp or whatever, and then she was abused, and how she kind of created the whole persona to hide that hurt, but then that hurt blossomed into something very beautiful. Like she's the one that created the whole basically
influencer.
Yeah, she's the first one.
First influencer. I would consider her the queen of influencers.
Yeah,
right?
And I don't know. She's very like vibrant too, like pink, and she's very like a fairy, I would say. And
she's really nice. I've personally met her.
Really?
Yeah. She bumped into me one time at a company party, and I was like, oh. And like I turned around and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, you're good. We're good. It's a party. Let's dance. And like, she's a really sweet person.
And then she has her brand, 1111 Media. Yeah. And then now she's doing work within the metaverse. So she's already taking that next step into the digital world. So
So she's like very passionate, and I think that's the thing that I think creatives will eventually always like what's the word, attract each other. I think to me it's one thing that I feel very fortunate. I feel like even for my skills that I work for, because I work for her brother and I work together, and so like there's never been like a mistreatment between us. Like it's just kind of like you, like we're just hanging out, we're talking like, okay, this is our goal, let's take care of it, let's do this, boom boom. So we're very like goal-minded, and of course kind of piecing things together. Like if they need something, like I'm like, okay, cool. Let me try to get this. Let me try to figure it out for you. Like let me get this. And it's kind of like you said, it inspires you because it's like, I don't know. I think sometimes, do you feel like there's like when it comes to like working with people, what's your first thing that you kind of like makes you want to work with someone?
Well, of course, like what we see is their visual aspects.
Yeah.
Like how can we work together, but then also just like energetically as well too, and then like what their values and what they put their energy towards, and if they're like a musician or like a creator, you kind of see, you do research upon them and find out like what their energy is going towards and like creating. So yeah, I'm still in the process of like building my connections as well too. So I feel like I'm not established enough to kind of do my own thing yet. I still need to like network with a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
So, and it's like I have to network with people like that I potentially like don't care to work with, just to like get my foot in the door.
Right.
So I feel like it's just based on energy, honestly.
And honestly, your list of 6 people that you chose, they have very high energy. Very nice, like very. I like Nicki Minaj myself. Like, she's such a good rapper. Like,
yeah,
I catch myself rapping to a lot of her songs.
Yeah. So those are the 6 people that I want to. I'll be honored. I'll be so grateful for an opportunity to work with them. Like, that's honestly why I even came here. Like those 6 people that I had in mind, and yeah, establishing my own self. I want to lastly add that I'm creating this new venture. I'm going on an enterprise to start my own modeling agency. And I wanted to do it for a while because I've been doing fashion photography for over like 4 years, and like going through the whole process of basically doing volunteer work. Like 90% of my career has been like volunteer work.
Yeah.
Like going to fashion shows and reaching out to the producers and reaching out to models, all of that. Traveling to locations even though I barely have any money, and just making that sacrifice because it's something that I genuinely like doing. Like even if it's my passion in a sense. Like I like doing it, like even if I don't get paid for it. But obviously like, I would like to get paid.
Yeah,
more.
But I think that's the true definition of an artist. Like there's times where like my career when I started off, I did a lot of internships where I wasn't getting paid, you know, and it was little like someone like I tell you I used to live up with that street with like $400 to my name, and it was very difficult for me because I'm like I don't have that much money and I need to, but I wanted to learn. I genuinely wanted to learn and really like hone my craft into something, like understand even like how to present yourself, how to behave, how to think, how to act in a workspace environment, a corporate workspace environment. And I think a lot of successful companies actually have that ability. If you can sit down and talk to people, like talk ideas, I think you have a very high chance of growing. And it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really excited for you.
Thank you.
For this venture. He said it for like a modeling agency. Like, would you have a name for it?
Yes. So it's the LKN International Modeling Agency. So the acronyms came from, they were inspired by a fashion designer. He's Cherokee. His name's Lloyd Kiva New. So he's kind of like the pioneer of native like modernism, like fashion, like contemporary fashion. He also established a tribal university that I used to work at in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's called the Institute of American Indian Arts.
Yeah.
And
can you search his name? Because I would love to see his work. Sorry, I have a Barracuda that I was looking at earlier. I like that car.
But yeah, he's an inspiration to me, and he did good for himself. Like he had a storefront in Scottsdale, Arizona that he owned and operated, and majority of his clientele was like the upper echelon, like white American society. And like he even like Eleanor Roosevelt like wore one of his garments, and he had connections to like the Rockefellers as well too. So he was very up there, and
It's beautiful. Yeah, seeing his patterns. Like,
yeah, and I
textiles.
also I usually don't model, but then my first time modeling was for him, like because I believe one of the Ford representatives from Ford Modeling, they had bought his whole collection and they keep it in a freezer. So they took it out specifically for like this fashion show, and I was able to like walk in it. And it was just kind of last minute because I was attending the show.
What?
I was attending the show, and then one of my friends that was modeling, she was like, "Do you want to model?" I was like, "They need the extra model." I was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Okay, just come over here." So I wore one of his garments, like my first time walking ever, and I think that's such an honor. And it's like a part of like history that I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like so much knowledge and so much work and just like hard work went into this, and for me to be wearing it to showcase it is beautiful. It's like like a ceremony in a way. Like I respect it so much. So I honor his work that he did, and I want to continue it.
Yeah.
Like just within the whole, because like I said, he was very successful, but then he wanted to teach the importance of indigenous art to like youth, and like allow not only youth, but then just like indigenous people to hone in on their craft.
Right.
And provide an opportunity that no one else would provide. And he did that. And the school is very successful right now. It's one of like it's very successful. It's so beautiful there. And I did recruitment for them. So just like telling like the history of like the school and like how the foundations of how it started. And one of the first buildings ever established on the school homelands was a hogan, and that's a traditional like Navajo dwelling, like house, and like they prayed over the land and everything. So I think I don't know, that also ties me into it as well too. And like I said, just the fact that he wanted to kind of foster the potential within my indigenous youth is what I want to do within my agency as well too. So right now I want to specifically focus on youth from like 16 to 24 who want to get into the fashion industry, because I know how it is like within the fashion industry, and I know how to maneuver myself very like eloquently, where I can feel like I can bring other people with me now. Because like just attending all these fashion events by myself, like majority of the time I'm the only native in there. And like I said, just going back to connection and culture, like I need other natives in there. Like, and native people are very beautiful. Like they're so beautiful, and providing them an opportunity that no one else would provide is something I would do. It'd be an honor for me to have that. They can make a whole career out of it. Like modeling and like the art world and the fashion world is worth billions of dollars. And that money, they can provide a life that they want for themselves. So it's me giving back to the culture and me giving back to the people. So that's what I want to create. And I actually thought of the name on February 8th. And like the thing, like after
Very specific.
Yeah, no. The weird thing is like after like, cause I was looking up Lloyd, and then I was like, let me see when he was born. But then he actually like passed away on February 8th. Like that day I was looking at it.
Oh wow.
I was like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Cause right now there's 7 people that I want to work with directly. And so he was born February 16th. So I'm going to kind of like announce like my 7 people. And then on July 26th is my birthday, is when I officially want to announce my first like cohort, like of like fresh like models who want to have. So yeah, so it's very, I don't know, it's so weird how that worked. So I want to kind of,
Honor.
and then yeah, and the LKN, like the acronym for that is like looking, like, so I'm looking for talent, I'm looking for vibrancy, I'm looking for culture, and I'm looking for people who are willing to to put in the work.
Right. Right. Very cool. Very cool. Is I am not a model, but if you need me for anything, any shoots, just let me know.
Oh yeah.
I don't qualify. I know.
No, we have to. No, we're gonna do a photo shoot. I'm going to be working with this brand downtown LA. I'll send you their Instagram. It's like suits and blazers, kind of like this. They be having like. I feel like you look good in it.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll do
So
it
let's
for
do
free.
that.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna pay you.
No.
But they're paying me. I'm gonna pay you. What the fuck?
I appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, to me, this is like collaborative environment that I hope that a lot of people like are open. Kind of like, to me, I like hearing your projects. I like seeing your ambitions, hearing your ambitions, and seeing them go to life. To me, I'm like that kind of person that's been very happy for creatives, and any way I can help. Like, to me, I'm very open to in that way as well. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah. So yeah, I'll plug your Instagram. We'll go ahead and share that together. I have a question that I like to ask people. Like, do you love our country?
Yes, I'm very honored to be living in this country. Like I said, off camera, LA especially, like a lot of people from outside the country would want to live here.
Yeah.
Like the whole like American dream essence. So yes, I love our country, but then there's just some things that I don't agree with, coming from like my culture past and yeah, and like the whole like tribal nation and U.S. government relationship is. It lights I have the fire that lights within me. I'm like expressing it creatively and using it towards a purpose.
Yeah.
So.
Same. I agree. I think that obviously there's things that can be fixed. There's things that can be, better. But I think I love our country. Like, generally say that. Like, I've always felt part of this city. Like I said, I've been born and raised here. Luckily, I've been able to travel to other states and check out, other cities. But like, I don't know. This feels like home.
Yeah.
This feels like home.
But then, I mean, I guess like when you asked that question, I just thought about the United States and ew, I shouldn't have thought about it like that. It's very like Western to me. But no, like I love our country because like this is where my people are from. Like there's a whole bunch of tribal nations are from here. Like this is our home.
Yeah.
This is my home.
This has been home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love my home.
Even with all the drama, like
Yeah.
it's still home.
Yeah, so much drama.
And honestly, to me, I think that's a very powerful feeling. That if you have that feeling of belonging, then you can focus on, all right, what do I do with my time? Because I feel like sometimes, and I just got chills getting that, because there's moments where people don't belong and they feel like that kind of because they're hyper focused on like fighting to feel part of the community or the city, or just a surrounding. And so to me, like I'm very glad that we're very similar in that way. Yeah, I'm very glad we did this. Honestly, I'm very glad.
Thank you
like
for
I
reaching out. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you so much too. Is there anything else you want to plug in? Anything you want to ask me?
There's like a whole bunch of things I want to ask you. I guess like one of the things is, what's like your inspiration behind like you creating? Or like what's like, cause mine's like the culture aspect or just wanting to like represent my community. Like what's yours?
I think like naturally, I feel like my inspiration is just the ability to see things be more. Cause I think sometimes like when people say like humans are like, they're just consuming and destroying the earth, to me, I'm like, no, we can create, we can do things, we can create a good environment. To me, that positivity is what really fuels my creativity, because I feel like sometimes I felt weird. I'm like, am I the only one who thinks this way? Like, like I felt like I told you, like I've been so kind of lone wolfish in my career that I feel like I can't be the only one who feels things,
Yeah.
talks this way, and I think that's why I created this podcast. To me, this podcast is like to bring other talented and call it passionate people who have their own personal projects, who have their own personal vision, who have their own personal like upbringing, and that to me, I love that. That to me, that's like what I think the world kind of needs, regardless of like color, regardless of like everything that they put in our heads to separate us. To me, it's like, no, artists like have a very special power to kind of create events, that people can partake in. Like everybody kind of has their own little like thing to bring to the table. And so that's the kind of the thing that I realized, like I kind of should put my energy towards that, Obviously, like I said, my career has been more marketing, in like real estate, and but a lot of my roots really came from like just imaginations. Because I like vividly remember as a kid, like I was kind of the weird kid, kind of cutting things while everybody was playing around me. I was like in the art station, just with scissors, glues, cutting, mashing things together. That was just kind of me, and like I feel very happy to still be that as an adult, but in a more professional, air quotes, way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what really inspires my creativity.
That's amazing.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing as well. Thanks for watching. Follow and subscribe for more. Keep in touch with me on stories.fromla on Instagram and YouTube. Thank you.